Next up, we have Hot Air versus Chaos Unleashed. Over in the red corner, we see Chaos Unleashed, a very interesting full-body drum spinner, a style I've never seen before, up against Hot Air, that is a Weta-style beetle kit with the beater bar-style spinning drum on the front. So far, Chaos Unleashed getting bounced around all over the place, manages to get in the pit, but then immediately bounces back out. It just barely fits in there to begin with, but there's so much momentum in that thing. As Hot Air is bouncing into it, kind of keeping it in the corner, Chaos Unleashed flapping about wildly, already taking some damage to those, the end pieces, I suppose, especially the yellow one. It's really coming apart in pieces. There's chunks of yellow plastic everywhere. It is still holding together and doing its job, but this thing is completely out of control all over the place as Hot Air is slowly but methodically approaching, hitting it when it has an opportunity to, trying to make sure not to make any too large moves as it gets another tip on it, hitting it up against the wall, but right back down into the arena. And Chaos Unleashed is exactly that. It is flip-flopping all over the place like a fish out of water here and just trying to get any semblance of control. Does come to a momentary stop here, Hot Air taking a pause and then hitting it from the side towards the pit. Unfortunately, not quite able to get it into there. Another good hit, this time actually engaging well, putting it up into the wall. And at this point, Chaos Unleashed seems to be actually doing quite a bit of damage to itself. That yellow piece seems to be just about ready to come off. It is all over the place, and even the drum itself is really twitching around, I suppose because it's not being held off the ground correctly. A little bit of a tap there. It looked like Hot Air might have actually gotten flipped over by Chaos, and I see a belt hanging out on the side of that spinner on Hot Air. So at some point, the belt has come loose. They no longer have their spinning drum weapon, but that doesn't stop Hot Air from going into Chaos Unleashed, who, because of their own speed and momentum, is bouncing all over the place into the pit momentarily, but does pop back out again. Hot Air with a nice fast attack into Chaos Unleashed, just using that big front end as a battering ram at this point, but works very well against this really wild drum spinner, as Chaos Unleashed is still holding up despite all the damage that it's taken and just flip-flopping all over the place. Hot Air not giving it a moment's rest, coming into it again and again, trying to keep it towards that pit area. Maybe if they can get it to stay in the pit when it's slowed down, it will get stuck there. But in the meantime, there's just so much momentum. It just keeps moving. And even though Hot Air doesn't have an active weapon at the moment, Chaos is still losing pieces of plastic, especially off that already damaged yellow end, as once again Hot Air goes in, uses the front as a shield, and takes it on the chin in order to throw Chaos into the air, now pushing Chaos into the edge of the pit, which again, flying into the air. Hot Air attacking again and again, being very aggressive and actually maintaining quite good control, despite the fact that it's trying to follow this football around that is just bouncing everywhere. This time a couple times Hot Air putting itself into Chaos, which actually does manage to flip Hot Air backwards a couple of times, so there is definitely some power in that Chaos Unleashed, but again, Hot Air coming in immediately, taking it on the chin. 10 seconds still to go. This might come down to a judge's decision here. Hot Air taking its time, maybe just waiting, maybe disabled. Hard to tell exactly, but we are getting the countdown here. No, it's definitely in it, and it's a KO. At the buzzer, the judges have called it for Chaos Unleashed. In the next fight, we have Eclipse versus Chaos Unleashed. Eclipse, a vertical dual disc spinner there, up against Chaos Unleashed, this full-body tube drum spinner thing that we saw earlier on. Now it's got two new ends on it back together, spinning around wildly. Eclipse coming in, getting a couple of good hits on it, not sending it too far, but over the pit, but it's wide enough that it drives straight over the pit and right back out again. Another good hit there for Eclipse coming in, engaging fully into that drum of Chaos. This time Eclipse getting the better of Chaos, running into them a couple of times, flipping them back, but immediately coming back for more. And Eclipse doesn't have their weapons spun up, might be having a little bit of trouble controlling themselves, put themselves directly into Chaos Unleashed, who's just wobbling around wildly. So I do think there might be some weapon issues there. Oh, no, there we go. Chaos Unleashed, or Eclipse gets going back up again, takes a good hard hit at Chaos Unleashed. Both of them go flying backwards, Chaos off the wall, Eclipse into the center. Once again, a nice tap in the center, but unfortunately Eclipse now upside down, kind of riding around on those forks, the guards. It looks like they don't have both sets of drive wheels making good contact, and they are pivoting around on that one point there. So unless they can show some kind of controlled movement soon here, I do believe this will be going to Chaos, and sure enough, the win goes to Chaos Unleashed. In the next fight, we have Chaos Unleashed versus Noob Tube, both full-body tube drum spinners, very similar in construction, although we can see Chaos, the yellow and blue with the kind of triangular tips, as opposed to Noob Tube in the orange and red with the round ends, both bouncing around wildly. Chaos going into the pit, but immediately driving right back out again. This is just kind of ridiculous. We have what amounts to 2 rolls of wrapping paper just running around wildly like they're full of gerbils or something as they bounce around on the floor, bouncing into each other, hitting the floor, hitting the walls, spinning wildly. It really is chaos in both cases. This time, Noob Tube doing something interesting. Not only spun up as the weapon, but then also spinning horizontally very quickly as well, almost like a thwack bot. Unfortunately, losing control, heading towards the pit area, does manage to bounce off, but a lot of sparks going flying in the meantime. And Chaos Unleashed, seemingly out of control, stuck in the blue corner, not really able to progress inwards or make any kind of advances on Noob Tube. There we go, finally gets into the center a little bit. Things are definitely a little off kilter. You can see that Chaos Unleashed is wobbling around madly, really bouncing a lot, even though they're not really doing any particular movements here. Not that I can say Noob Tube is doing a whole lot better. They're just spinning wildly, full speed, full send. Neither one really able to progress towards their opponent, but you wouldn't want to get in the way of them, that's for sure, because there's a lot of energy built up in all of that spinning mass. And we just watch them pirouette randomly. It's like watching some kind of chemistry experiment, wondering if they're ever going to collide, and if so, what will happen. With just under 1:30 left on the clock, see if either driver can make their way over and try to make a coordinated attack. But for the moment, we have Chaos Unleashed over on the red side, Noob Tube on the blue side, and both just kind of hanging out, spinning around wildly. Chaos slowly bumbling their way over to Noob Tube. And now, as that happens, Noob Tube more or less getting out of the way, almost, I wonder, running away. Hard to say for sure just how much of this is intentional or not, as Noob Tube does hit the wall, bounces off towards the center a little bit there. Chaos, I think, maybe trying to advance towards them, unable to make any real progress, as we do have a little bit of a random tip-off here, Noob Tube into Chaos. Both, however, still bouncing around like wild. It looks like Noob Tube in particular, something maybe a little bit off balance. It's wobbling a little bit more so. Now they do actually manage to, Chaos makes their way over to Noob Tube, does manage to get a little bit of a touch there, hitting towards the pit area, but again, separated, bouncing around this time. Noob over in the red corner, Chaos towards the blue. Chaos looks like they're maybe actually advancing, getting their way over to Noob Tube, who's very much stuck in the corner out of control. Does get a little bit of a touch, but then immediately loses control as a result. Now down to 15 seconds, still wobbling around wildly. Anybody's chance at this point, because a little hard to say who's got the most, but we turn everything up to full speed, full send. We got 5 seconds left on the clock. Who's most likely to do the most damage? And the answer is neither of them, wildly flipping around all over the place. And this will go to a judge's decision, and they will decide the win in favor of Chaos. Next up, we have Noob Tube versus Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast getting both of them actually spun up very quickly, and Noob Tube all the way across the arena into Mr. Beast before Beast even got off the line. Very fast-moving robot. Both of them going head-to-head here, some sparks flying off, both holding up well. Another hard hit there, this time Beast coming in full speed to Noob Tube, sending them into the air, landing back on the ground again. Noob Tube, compared to the last fight, seems to be having a little bit better time of controlling and directing their movement, and a good thing too, because Mr. Beast not going to have a problem with that as they come in with their vertical disc spinner here, which is no longer spun up, and I'm seeing that the low kind of wedges on the front of Mr. Beast to bring the opponent into the weapon are starting to take some damage. So I think Noob Tube doing a good job of actually getting some good hits in there. Another one as they go face to face, and definitely some sparks coming off of Mr. Beast twice, 3 times now. Noob Tube approaching Mr. Beast. Hard to tell who is going after who, but they both seem at the same time to be approaching each other. Good for aggression on both sides, but so far the damage seems to be being done to Mr. Beast. Noob Tube wandering around the arena, bouncing over towards the pit, manages to slow down, stop, get control, coming back for another attack. Mr. Beast sitting in the middle of the arena. Oh my goodness. Noob Tube touches the wall, gets pulled across the arena by their momentum and into the pit, but bounces back out again. Tries for a hit there as Mr. Beast ends up bringing themselves into the corner and out of the way. Noob Tube stop up against the wall, trying to hit Mr. Beast, who is almost dodging more so than attacking. Now we can definitely see that there is a belt off of Mr. Beast, so that weapon is not working. A hard contact there as Noob Tube flips Mr. Beast completely upside down, and they are not moving. Looks like they're high-sided. You can see the wheel spinning, but there's no movement at all. Noob Tube bouncing into them. A hard hit, takes another one, and this time Mr. Beast pinned up against the edge of the wall. I can't see any way coming out of this one. They haven't tapped out, though, and Noob Tube isn't stopping. They keep hitting them, so we'll see. It is coming down to a count out here. It looks like Driver's maybe hoping to get Mr. Beast off the wall. Noob Tube comes in, says, here, let me try and help you with that. But they can't get moving, so the win goes to Noob Tube. We switch now back to the A-side bracket with Super Smash Power versus Chaos Unleashed. Chaos Unleashed getting up to speed quickly. Super Smash Power this time does not have the lifting arm at the front at all there, so just a low wedge. Must have gotten destroyed too much in the previous fights. Gets underneath the Chaos Unleashed, bouncing it around, and honestly, just having that hard wedge going to be a good tool against Chaos Unleashed, just to be able to withstand the blows long enough that Chaos is able to destroy itself, hopefully. And you can see Chaos getting a little bit of control back, still very difficult. Smash Power just taking its time, waiting for the opportunity to attack. Does manage to hit Chaos into the corner, but in doing so, ends up getting full engagement against the weapon, stalling Chaos, putting the energy into Super Smash Power, flipping them backwards, but they do manage to land correctly back on their feet again, this time trying to hit from the side one of the feet of Chaos Unleashed, narrowly misses as Chaos bounces around out of control. For a moment there, Chaos actually advancing on Super Smash Power, but easily able to get out of the way, and Smash Power taking its time, trying to line up a hit. You can see Chaos really speeding things up, even though it's just sitting still, and Smash, hesitant to approach, needs to time it just right, hoping that they can get the damage to Chaos, to get Chaos to damage itself, rather than taking the brunt of it themselves. Slowly advancing, you see tipping it there without the full engagement, just kind of sparks and bounces off, so that worked out really well for Smash as Chaos headed towards the pit, but not able to fall in or get stuck there. As we've seen before, these really large tube spinners just cannot stay in that pit as long as they're spun up. But Smash Power holding them, controlling them very well, directing them where they want them to go, letting Chaos do the work to themselves. So excellent control being shown here by Super Smash Power as Chaos Unleashed, quite the opposite of it. Oh no, as they hit into the pit, lots of sparks, a bit of plastic coming off, quite a bit of damage to themselves as a result of engaging the sharp edge of that pit. Super Smash Power lining up, waiting patiently, actually just sitting back at this point, not moving at all, kind of waiting for things. And I wonder if something has gone wrong here, because Super Smash Power not moving Chaos yet, definitely. There's no way Super Smash Power seems to be disabled all of a sudden, not working correctly. Chaos still able to move in easily and approaching them, bouncing them slightly. Oh, there we go. Things finally got fired back up. Sometimes that happens with these bots, but Super Smash Power is back in the game, turning to face his opponent, and got control back, got movement back. Slowly again, trying to corner Chaos Unleashed, approaching just in small steps, waiting for the right moment, and in the meantime, Chaos just bouncing around. Chaos also starting to slow things down a little bit, it looks like. If they bring the speed down just a bit on it, gives them some ability to control it so they're not just bouncing all over the place, and they were able to make some progress towards Smash, but every time Smash gets the opportunity, getting in there, pushing Chaos around, and now Chaos, with 15 seconds left on the clock, is just ramping things up to full speed, just getting silly to see what happens here. It is entirely possible with all that energy that it could do some serious damage if Smash were to try and approach and catch things at just the wrong moment, but 3 seconds left on the clock. Looks like both of them still in it. Comes down to the line, the judge's decision, and given all that wonderful control shown by Super, the win goes to them. Now back to the B-side bracket, we have Noob Tube versus Hot Air. And Hot Air coming in quickly, Noob Tube trying to get back up to speed. Good hard hit there, and actually Hot Air maybe taking the worst of it, flipping over backwards and out of the way. Noob Tube approaching very well, despite the fact that this is a very difficult thing to drive, despite the name. Oh no, and in contacting Hot Air, rolls over onto its back, directly square into the pit. Good luck getting out of there. Just a really unfortunate bounce for Hot Air. Noob Tube celebrating as they deserve, because the win goes to Noob. On the B side, we go to Huge versus Noob Tube. Both big spinners. Very quickly, Noob Tube spinning up, coming in as Huge tries to get up to speed, not unable to get out of the corner in time. And here a good contact of Noob on the wheel of Huge, but that sends Noob going flying back as Huge stays largely in place. Those wheels certainly taking some damage on Huge, but throughout the entire series of matches, doesn't really matter. They don't have to look pretty. They just have to work, and those things do hold up well. As Huge getting into the center here, trying to direct themselves towards the Noob Tube, which just keeps flying all over the place. Looks like Huge maybe themselves having a bit of trouble controlling it. You can see every time that they have to try and slow themselves down, they flip over, which certainly doesn't make it easy to direct this thing. Noob Tube very much kind of stuck in the corner, spinning at full speed as Huge takes a moment to try and line up a hit. Does come in, does get a hit, And this time, a really hard contact on Noob Tube. Both of them full speed, and that sends a lot of energy into Noob Tube, holding Huge in place. Thankfully for Noob, still working just fine. Huge over in the one corner there, as Noob is, I think, trying to advance. However, something doesn't seem right here. They are able to get the weapon spun up. It's almost like that green side maybe isn't actually participating or something. Hard to say, but it's definitely not able to kind of drive in a somewhat straight line if it wants to. Huge weapon still working. The frame, however, the frame on Huge starting to not be so straight anymore. It's wobbling around, and that's making it very difficult for Huge to approach. You can see as it changes directions, the whole thing flexes like mad, and that is definitely not going to be good. That thing could come apart in half any time now. So trying to nonetheless line up towards Noob Tube. Noob Tube not able to really make very specific directional progress, but a very dangerous opponent nonetheless. So Huge has to be very careful. Does manage to line up a hit, comes into Noob Tube. Not very strong engagement, unfortunately, and so just kind of bounces off a little bit as Noob keeps tapping the wheels of Huge. When it does that, not a lot happens to Huge. It just kind of holds itself in place, but Noob Tube does go flying back, which could be a bit of a liability for it. In that case, they both come in contact, and once again, Huge locking itself to the floor as Noob Tube gets sent back about a quarter of the way across the arena. As the frame keeps bending on Huge, now that weapon that's supposed to be up in the air is starting to contact the floor, and that's making it difficult to control. It's making it difficult to get a whole lot of power to be able to put into their opponent. And so yes, we see that Huge now really kind of out of control, unlike how they were before, having difficulty getting towards their opponent. And in the meantime, Noob Tube just kind of sitting back and watching the show. Huge now bouncing off the arena floor into the wall, bouncing itself directly over top of, but not in the pit. Look how perfectly the wheels are in there. I say that too soon though, however, as the weapon now puts Huge into the well, and now he can't get spun up. He's got one wheel stuck in there. I don't know that Huge can get themselves out of here, and so the win goes to Noob Tube. Next we have Chaos Unleashed versus Instant Gratification. The other tube drum spinner up against Instant Gratification, another nice low wedge with that finger in the front there. Looks like he doesn't have that on there, lost that earlier on in the match, and probably just as well up against something like Chaos Unleashed. That's going to get ripped off very quickly if you're not careful about it. Chaos going full send, full energy here, and as Instant pushes themselves in and tries to stall out Chaos, takes the full brunt of it, flipping them across the arena. They did land on their wheels, but nothing is happening, nothing movement, no energy, so something must have died in that hit on Instant, and just that quickly, the win will go to Chaos. Noob Tube and Chaos Unleashed meeting up again, nearing the end of the B-side bracket. Both of these drum tube spinners fully up to speed as Noob Tube comes in fast. Chaos Unleashed having a little bit of trouble getting out of the corner, seems to be quite a bit off balance. Noob Tube seems to be spinning very nicely, whereas Chaos Unleashed you can see is wobbling a lot more every time it tries to spin up. Noob Tube getting into one of the ends of Chaos, getting a little bit on there, pushing it around. Looks like this Noob slowing it down, trying to take an advance against Chaos, who is bouncing around in the center. Noob Tube finding themselves in the center, tries for a very quick attack against Chaos, but misses. Hard to hit such a wobbly opponent, even if you think you might be able to line them up, which is hard to do with these things in the first place. Then all of a sudden your opponent bounces around out of the way. And that's especially the case with how much we flex and bouncing. We see in Chaos Unleashed there, it looks like Noob Tube maybe a little bit straighter, a little bit more even, although both flexing very hard and bouncing around wildly as they come into each other. Noob Tube tries for an attack on Chaos, kind of drives over and around a little bit missing, and once again, actually this time does manage to hit part of the foot, the yellow side there on Chaos Unleashed. Noob Tube actually doing a good job holding up pressure. There we go. Pushes the yellow end of Chaos into the well. And these things don't actually have that much torque. They're more about speed, not about torque. Oh no, Noob, what are you doing? Don't put yourself in there as well. Oh, and just at the last second, as he gets counted out, the win goes to Noob Tube. At the end of the B-side bracket, we have Super Smash Power versus Noob Tube. Noob Tube spinning up quickly and trying to come across. Smash Power taking a little bit of a slower stance, working its way over towards Noob Tube, getting underneath and tries to get for a nice quick attack there, but Noob Tube bouncing around, comes off of it. Tip to tip as Super Smash Power goes into Noob Tube, bouncing around a little bit. Some small sparks as Noob Tube grabs the ground, drives into the pit, but immediately bounces right back out again, slowing down, trying to get things lined up, taking a little bit of a chance at it. Smash Power not advancing, just waving around that little lifter, waiting for its opportunity. Smash Noob Tube fully up to speed now, coming in over into the corner. Smash trying to get around it, approaches it from what I can only refer to as the backside, considering that it is spinning, and tries to get a good one. Oh wow! And Noob Tube somehow just managed to grab Smash Power perfectly on the edge, lifting it up, and as it goes across the arena, carrying with it. And getting Smash Power onto its side. Smash Power towards the wall, trying to get itself, oh my goodness, trying to get itself self-righted against the wall, having trouble doing so. Noob Tube hits it again and into the corner, and now it is stuck over towards the pit area, but it's hung up on it. It doesn't have enough wheels on the ground to really get movement here, and so the win goes to Noob Tube. Congratulations. Coming up to the A side final, we have Impact Lab versus Noob Tube coming up from the B side, and we have a third robot in here as well. I'm not sure why we have the Antweight in here, but yes, we have 3 robots flying around here. I'm imagining Impact Lab was low on weight. No, hard to say exactly, but we do see that, yeah, Impact Lab running around, Noob Tube as well. Noob Tube hitting the wall, bouncing high up on the wall, coming back into the center now as Impact Lab trying to get underneath and bring Noob Tube supposedly over towards the pit area there. Noob Tube bouncing around all over the place into the pit, comes back out again into the center of the arena as Impact Lab tries to get underneath them, but gets in the way of the third bot. Impact Lab heading towards Noob Tube over towards the wall by the red corner there, unable to really get under and engage very much in it, and now hooking the other bot that it has in here with it, that little Antweight, getting in the way once again as Impact Lab trying to follow Noob Tube around, and this third bot just keeps getting in the way. Could maybe be useful if they're able to coordinate and keep Noob Tube in one place so that they can actually kind of pinch and get out of the way. But in the meantime, kind of just more of an obstacle than anything, as Impact Lab consistently following around Noob Tube, trying to get underneath, trying to hook it, direct it, put it wherever it can go. Once again, that third bot just in the way and making it difficult for Impact Lab to continue following as Noob Tube just keeps spinning, just keeps bouncing all over the place. But Impact Lab slowly but surely getting Noob Tube over towards the wall, kind of pinning it in there a little bit, holding it in place at the very least, not really taking any damage, surprisingly, despite the fact that it's been putting itself into the spinning Noob Tube so many times over, but not a lot of damage being shown so far as it once again into Noob Tube, who contacts slightly, flies over top, bouncing around. Is partly could be because of the high speed that Noob Tube is currently at. Oh no! And now Impact Lab actually using the third robot as a bit of cannon fodder, putting it into Impact Lab. And there is a red chunk of plastic. It looks like part of one of the wheels maybe has come off of Noob Tube here, which is going to make it difficult because this thing was already not that well balanced. Oh no! And sure enough, the wheel completely comes apart. Now this thing is flying around like mad. The fact that it's even working surprises me because I don't know what it's spinning with. It only has one wheel. But sure enough, it just keeps flopping around. 38 seconds left. Somehow it's still able to spin up, even though it only has one wheel. I suppose that's enough to do something, but it's going to be completely uncontrolled movement, obviously. There's no way to direct itself, so really it's just spinning around free on one end. 25 seconds left to go. Impact Lab gets it towards the corner, manages to stall it out momentarily, gets underneath it, and is trying to use its little arms, possibly to drag it around, pinning it against the wall. 15 seconds left on the clock. Releases for a moment. Comes right back in again. Unfortunately for Noob, there is nothing left on that one end. Hard to fight back when you only have that one wheel. 5 seconds on the clock, getting counted down. And the winner will be Impact Lab for the finals. Congratulations, the first one to do any real major damage to Noob Tube.